My name is Darcy Ingram. I was 32 years old when my father threw my 8-year-old daughter into a thunderstorm. 3 hours. That's how long my daughter sat in a storm drain before someone found her. 3 hours of rain hitting her face, of wind tearing through her jacket, of thunder shaking the concrete under her body. She was 8. She weighed 52 pounds. And my father opened the door and pushed her out like she was a stray dog who'd knocked over the trash. He did it because of a lie told by her 10-year-old cousin. A lie my parents never questioned, because questioning it would have meant admitting the truth about who they'd been protecting all along. I joined the army at 18 because it was the only door my father couldn't close. I was good at managing supply chains for a brigade. I knew how to secure lines and anticipate failures. But the logistics of military precision don't prepare you for the moment your own foundation turns into a demolition crew. Every military parent knows Department of Defense Form 5840. The Family Care Plan. It's a clinical, black and white piece of paper where you designate a temporary guardian, sign away custody, and fly halfway around the world hoping the system works. When my 9-month rotation to Kuwait came down, my parents volunteered before I could even ask. My mother's voice on the phone was smooth. She's our granddaughter, Darcy. Of course we'll take her. I felt a sudden, heavy wave of relief. Lily would have a yard, a top-rated school district, and family. I set up an automatic transfer of $1,200 a month into their account for groceries and expenses, a detail my father never acknowledged. But logistics taught me that data doesn't lie, even when people do. Logged into the school's online portal from my barracks, the baseline shift was invisible at first, but undeniable. My nephew Tyler was picked up by my father in the car lane every day at 3:15 p.m. Lily was enrolled in the late extended day program, waiting by herself until 6 p.m. The shift happens in the micro cracks. It started with a broken television remote that Tyler threw during a video game tantrum. He pointed at Lily, and my father immediately banished her to the guest room. Then came a missing tray of cookies my mother baked for Tyler's class. She told Lily she lacked self-control, never once asking for her side of the story. In my parents' house, a dangerous hierarchy had solidified. Tyler's words were treated as absolute scripture, while Lily's denials were dismissed as defensive lies. By midwinter, the isolation showed up in her drawings. A care package arrived in Kuwait containing a piece of construction paper where our entire family was grouped together in bright, warm colors, while a tiny, brown-haired stick figure stood entirely alone on the far edge of the page, crossed out with an aggressive stroke of crayon. My sister Jenna didn't help. When I called her, she simply sighed and said Lily needed to learn her place because Tyler lived there full-time. They were quietly erasing my daughter, one small lie at a time. I didn't scream. I didn't drop my deployment phone. Instead, I opened my government laptop at 0300 local time and drafted a 2-page, single-spaced hardship reassignment request under military regulations. I cited material changes to my family care plan, attaching the school logs, the counselor's behavioral assessments, and the scanned copies of Lily's isolated drawings. When Colonel Barrett signed the authorization, he looked me dead in the eye and said my child needed logistics more than the unit did. Within 48 hours, I packed my footlocker, keeping my green notebook and Lily's crumpled drawing inside my breast pocket. I landed at Nashville International Airport without notifying a single soul in my family. Operating out of a Holiday Inn 12 minutes from their house, I coordinated with Captain Rivera, a sharp military JAG officer. She gave me the clinical baseline I needed. Do not confront them blindly, let the revocation paperwork process in daylight, and gather your data from the perimeter before they have the chance to play the victim. The storm broke at 8:30 on a Thursday evening, both outside and within the walls of that house. My mother noticed her heirloom pearl necklace was missing from her dresser, 3 generations of family legacy, gone. Tyler, sensing the mounting panic, executed his final, deliberate frame. He walked up to my father and whispered that he'd seen Lily sneaking around her backpack after school. Ray didn't cross-examine a 10-year-old. He marched into the guest room, unzipped her bag, and pulled out the pearls Tyler had planted there hours earlier. When Lily came downstairs in her pajamas, confused and barefooted, my father's rage was immediate and absolute. She didn't cry, she just went entirely still, as he opened the front door to a sideways Tennessee downpour. "Get out, I don't need a lying granddaughter," he roared, slamming the heavy wood behind her. 4 blocks away, shaking from hypothermia with bleeding feet, Lily crawled inside a dark concrete storm drain, clutching her backpack to her chest, relying entirely on the military-dependent ID card I'd clipped inside to guide her home. The call from County General Hospital came at 9:37 p.m. I was at the emergency room door 11 minutes later, running through the sliding glass entrance into room 4. Seeing Lily in that oversized hospital gown, with an 4 drip running into her small arm made the air leave my lungs, but my military training overrode the panic. I sat down, took her damp hand, and quietly initiated our operational protocol. When Nancy Odom, the hospital social worker, walked in with her state-mandated clipboard, I didn't offer an emotional outburst or a chaotic breakdown. Instead, I handed over my military ID, confirmed my active duty status, and calmly laid out the clinical paper trail I had spent months compiling overseas. I provided the school counseling reports, the documented timeline of familial isolation, and the contact info for Mrs. Calloway, our neighbor, who had witnessed the expulsion. By the time my parents walked into that room over an hour later, expecting to manipulate the situation, the legal framework had already closed around them. They met a soldier in uniform, backed entirely by the system. The formal review at the Child Protective Services office was short. On their side of the table sat my parents, weeping quietly beside their silent attorney. On my side sat Captain Rivera, backed by a manila folder containing the full forensic report. The investigator, Ms. Torres, didn't leave room for interpretation. She laid out Tyler's taped confession, Mrs. Calloway's exact witness statement, and the medical records from the emergency room. My father tried to call it a family discipline matter, but the system had already moved past his control. The family care plan was permanently revoked. Legal guardianship reverted to me immediately, and my parents were stripped of all unsupervised access, restricted to a monitored state facility for 2 hours every other Saturday. I looked across the table at the people who raised me and realized that protecting my daughter didn't mean keeping the peace, it meant building a fortress out of paperwork, and walking away without looking back.